So, have you ever really thought about what makes a co-op, well, tick? The rule book that governs a lot of them is actually a law that's pushing 100 years old. It's wild, right? So today, we're going to decode this thing, the Cooperative Societies Act of 1925. And we're going to do it by following the entire life story of a co-op. I'm talking from the second it's born, right up until the day it shuts its doors for good. Let's dive in.
Okay, so right from the get-go, the law basically lays out its entire philosophy. This quote you see here, it's not just some dry legal speak from the preamble, no way. It's pretty much the soul of the whole movement. We're talking about thrift, self-help, and mutual assistance. Basically, people saving together, helping themselves, and, having each other's backs. This one idea, it's the DNA that drives everything that follows. All right, here's our game plan. We're going to cover what a co-op even is, how one gets started, what the rights and duties of members look like, how they're kept in check, and what happens when a society comes to an end. Okay, so let's talk about the birth of a co-op. Every single one starts with an idea, right? But to make that idea a reality, it needs to be officially born. And that whole process kicks off with registration. So the very first question you have to ask is, just how many people does it take to start one?
Well, for most kinds of co-ops, the magic number is just 10. That's it. It really shows you that these things are designed to start small, with just a handful of dedicated people.
But here's what's so cool about this old law. It adapts. If you're trying to form what's called a producers society, think of farmers or maybe artisans all pooling their resources together, the stakes get a bit higher. Section 7 of the Act bumps that minimum number all the way up to 50. And get this, for housing society, which has the massive goal of, providing homes for people, the number jumps again. 100 people. You can see the logic of this old law shining through, right? The bigger the mission, the stronger the foundation has to be.
Now, having the right number of people is just step one. There's, of course, paperwork. Section 9 lays it all out. You need your application, obviously. You need signatures from all the founders. You got to attach a report that shows your idea is actually financially feasible. And you need to include your proposed bylaws, which are basically the internal rule book for your society. Then you package all that up and submit it to an official called the Registrar. Okay, so our co-op is officially born. Now it starts to live and breathe. And its members, they're its heartbeat. But what does it actually mean to be a member? Well, the Act is super clear about this. It's all about a balance between what you get and what you owe. So first things first, who even counts as a member? The law, in Section 3C, is pretty specific. A member is either someone who was there from the very beginning, on that first application, or someone who was admitted later on following the society's own rules. So yeah, it's a formal thing, not just, being part of a club. And this right here is the democratic heart of every single co-op. Section 18 lays down a really simple but incredibly powerful rule. One member, one vote. It doesn't matter how much cash you've put in, your vote counts the same as everyone else's. But there's a catch. Section 17 says you can't exercise any of your rights, not even that vote, until you're all paid up with the society. It's a perfect balance, isn't it? Rights and responsibilities, hand in hand. And life as a co-op can look totally different depending on why it exists. The Act actually classifies them. You've got resource societies, think credit or goods, producers societies where people make and sell things together, consumers societies for distributing goods, and of course, housing societies. It really shows you just how flexible this whole model is. All right, our co-op is up and running. But how do we keep it healthy? How do we make sure it doesn't stray from its original purpose? Well, the AICID Act has an answer for that. It creates a pretty powerful guardian to perform regular checkups and, enforce the rules. Hey, remember the registrar, the official you submitted all that paperwork to at the beginning? Well, their job is far from over. In fact, they're a central character in the co-op's entire life story. They're a government-appointed official who's basically both a guide and a guardian. So what's in the registrar's toolbox? First up, they can launch an inquiry. Section 43 gives them the power to start a formal investigation into how a society is structured, how it's running, and, crucially, its financial health. Now, if that inquiry turns up some red flags, or maybe a creditor sounds an alarm, the registrar can dig deeper. Section 44 lets them go in and conduct a full-on inspection of the society's books. And finally, this is where you see the registrar has some real teeth. If that inspection shows an officer is doing things that hurt the society, Section 44C gives the registrar the ultimate power.
they can actually remove that person from their job. It's the ultimate backstop to make sure the leadership is serving the members, not themselves. So, like any life story, this one has an end. Whether a society has achieved everything it set out to do, or it's just not working anymore, the Act has a clear, structured way to handle its dissolution. So what actually happens when a co-op fails or just needs to be wound up? It's not like you just lock the doors and walk away. There's a whole process. Yeah, the winding up process, which is laid out in Section 47, is really deliberate. It kicks off with that inquiry or inspection we talked about. If the registrar agrees that, yep, it's time to close up shop, they issue a formal winding up order. After that, they might appoint a liquidator to come in and manage the whole thing. Settle the debts, handle the assets, the whole shebang. Okay, but that brings up a huge question. After all the debts are paid off, what if there's money left over? Where does it go? This question gets right back to the fundamental idea of what a co-op is. And the answer? Well, it tells you everything you need to know. And here it is. Section 52 is crystal clear. Any leftover assets are not divided up among the members like profit. Nope. Instead, that surplus has to be used for a public or charitable purpose, something often laid out in the society's own bylaws. The money goes back to the community, not into individual pockets. I mean, that's the ultimate proof, right? A co-op exists to serve the collective good, from its very first day to its absolute last. So there it is, the complete life of a co-op, all guided by a law that's nearly a century old. It's a whole system built on community, self-help, and clear rules. And you know, in a world where a lot of us are looking for better, more community-focused ways to do things, you really have to wonder, could this 100-year-old model actually be more relevant today than ever before?